Hi, my name is Haley Anderson. This is week 11 of theater management for East Texas A&M University. This week we are going over chapter 4 from Webb's book over audience development and chapter 8, management in the audience from Ryan's book. I will say I'm going to start with Ryan's book. I got a little bit less out of it. It was also shorter than Webb's, so I'm going to go to Ryan's first and then Webb's. I liked Ryan's because of how it kind of talked about the connection between the audience and the experience, right? How does one relate to it? The one I found the most interesting was the popcorn scenario, like talking about how it does, because I didn't think about that. I didn't think about how popcorn can give the audience an experience before, right? Is it too casual? Is it comforting? Is it smelly? Is it dirty? Is it universal? So I really liked that section over like concessions, right? So what kind of concessions fit a theater or a show, right? So I really liked that section. One thing I will say that I love about Ryan's books are the case studies. The case studies with Patrick and Frank and the whole team I find interesting, because you have to imagine yourself a little bit in that scenario, in Patrick's scenario, right? What would you do if you're sitting next to an unhappy audience member? Do you count it as one guy, or do you count it as this experience could be more than one person? And I feel like if I was in that moment, I put in my discussion that I would give him free tickets to something so that he would come back. But what if this is like happening a lot and then you can't give people free tickets, right? But also if it is happening a lot, then something's wrong, right? So it's kind of like a weird double edge, and I feel like so often we are scared to upset people that we work with. But if we maybe upset them for a day, we can solve issues for a year, So I do enjoy the case studies from Ryan's chapter. There were other parts of that chapter that I found interesting. I'm not going to go over them now, but I really liked the concessions and the attachment from the audience member to the theater, right? Webb's chapter to me was so in-depth and such an interesting perspective in many different forms. So I kind of wrote about, the most unpredictable yet most predictable aspect of theater. And I feel like there's going to be an audience. Somebody's going to watch it. But who are they? How do you get them? All of that stuff, right? How do you start that audience? The interesting perspective to me is that audiences change, right? Like they change because of our society changes, our populations, our money, things like that. I put experiences also, right? Your experiences depend on what kind of shows you're willing to see. And so how do you market that? How do you do all of that? And also just keep in touch with life, right? So a theater manager not only has to run a theater and a staff and make sure things are functioning and make sure the lights turn on and all of that, but they also have to make sure that the shows or anything that's happening in the theater is relevant. The example of the Brazilians community in Miami, I didn't even know that Brazilians spoke Portuguese. That was something interesting for me. I assumed that it was a mix. It was Portuguese and Spanish, but it was talking about how in Miami they often get lumped into that, right? And so there is that perspective, right? And so as a theater manager, it is your job to learn that, right? And to understand what this community might want, or oh, I'm so sorry, my puppy. What this community might want, or when he was talking about trying to get the Venezuelans in Miami, right? Like, how do you reach that society and the society that's already lived there? And that was a really interesting perspective. Sorry, my puppy threw me off my thought. Let me read my. Okay. We've talked about this one in the past videos, but the discretionary income, like, what will we spend our money on, right? That's hard because we want to spend our money on everything we love as people, right? And so how do we get them to love theater, just general society, general population, right? So how do we get them to spend that money on there? And we've talked about it in the past video, so I'm not going to focus on it too much now, but it is hard to make it worth it and to understand what would make it worth it and things like that. So whenever we are looking at, sorry, he is 12 weeks old and very much acting like a 12-week-old puppy. So whenever we are looking at, whenever we're looking at discretionary income, we kind of see how okay, I'm not gonna start over. We kind of look at how